I think everybody can get something out of it and get some good laughs and whatnot. So with that in mind, we're going to throw it on over to our good friend Mr. Michael Skinner with world news and what's going on, Skinbone. What we got today, man?
Hi guys. Yeah, first one right out of the gate, very new and probably something still fresh in our minds from 2013. The Boston Marathon bomber. Remember the Boston Marathon in 2013?
Just for the record, there is nothing fresh in my mind from 2013. I'm still yesterday is hazy, but go ahead.
I gotcha. Well, the Supreme Court is retrying the Boston Marathon bomber for the death penalty reinstatement.
Wow.
The lower courts throughout the death penalty, stating errors during the trial tainted the sentencing. What it said is that the lower trial judge failed to ensure a fair jury after wall-to-wall media coverage of the attack. I got strong feelings about it. I talked to Fish before we got on the air and before you jumped on. What do they expect? It was a Boston Marathon. It was being televised all over the world. It was a bombing between two brothers that made homemade pipe bombs with pressure cookers. They killed 3 people. They injured 250 plus people. There was a movie about it with Mark Wahlberg. It was all over the news. How the hell is there a person other than someone that lives in a cave not know that happened? We like to laugh and joke about things on this, but this particular, when I read this, it kind of got the blood boiling a little bit. How does that lower court judge expect a jury to not know what happened prior to going into the courts? Go ahead, Porter.
It's moments like this in our judicial system that just makes you scratch your head. Common sense things, if you will. I stand in total agreement with you, unless you were just totally oblivious. Something like that is instantaneous, not local news, not state news, not even U.S. news. That is world news. Any type of terror attack is world news. You would have to have been in a coma throughout, that time for about 5 years to not understand and heard about that. So I don't even get this. I don't even know where to start with this. Just nonsense to me. I totally agree with you, brother. Vish?
Yeah, it's hard to find a impartial jury, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, as far as, do you guys have thoughts on the death penalty in general, or is that too deep?
Well, if it's the law of the land, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So, the horror that you inflict when you do something like this, hey, that's the law. That's what you got coming. You know what I'm saying?
Let's not just talk about the horror of those victims, those 3 that died, and those 250 plus people that got hurt. What about all those people watching it all over the world, watching that in horror?
You can't even calculate the damage that was done. So, I'm not saying I'm for or against. I'm saying if that's the law of the land, then hey, then that's what it is. Some argue that the death penalty does not deter crimes, and it's better to make them suffer. That's a whole nother argument too, as well. And I could go with the logic and all of that, but I'm not one that's out there with pickets saying, no death penalty. If that's the law of the land and you killed a bunch of people, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
That was from your pastor on the show.
Wow. Wow. But you better keep that Skype video started on time there, brother, next time.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah, so throw out there, not a pop culture. I'm not in the pop culture lane. That's more Fisher's lane. But if you have not seen the movie called The Patriot, it's starring Mark Wahlberg, John Goodman. I mean, there's a ton of people in it. Kevin Bacon. It's a pretty good account to what happened that day. Yeah. Great acting. The story obviously is still, to me, like I said, it's still fresh in my mind. recommend the movie.
I
It'll
thought it was a
give you
documentary
insight.
on Tom Brady, so I didn't even know. I'll go back and
Yeah.
watch it now.
I gotcha. I got one other thing. Talking about the cruise lines and that travel, a little bit of travel. First time on our show here, we're going to do a little bit something about travel. But cruise lines are looking to reopen come July 1st. I don't know if you guys have heard that. Little background with us: we went on a cruise back in 2018 for Mr. Brian Fisher's 50th birthday, and it was time of our lives. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. We had an absolute blast.
I wouldn't invite it.
We
we
have
said
one.
we had a blast.
We did have a blast. Yeah, right. We since booked a cruise for this year for December for my 50th birthday, and someone else, one of the here that hasn't mentioned whether he's going to partake or not. He's just going to complain that he didn't go on the last one, I think. But we do have one scheduled for December of this year. But I tell you what, my thoughts are is if there's any restrictions of any kind, we're not going to do it. Can't walk around a ship with a mask on. Can't walk around worried that you're going to get sick by somebody else or inflict sickness on somebody. That's not what you're going on vacation for. But here's what the story was: is the cruise line's looking to reopen in July 2021. The Royal Caribbean, they're going to take fully inoculated patrons to allow them to go on the ship and start sailing as soon as July 1st. There's no other restrictions noted to this point, but they are saying that they're only going to allow passengers on that are fully inoculated to the COVID-19 virus, and they're looking to have more information come out in April or May. I talked to our cruise person back about 3-4 weeks ago. We were trying to decide, do we want to pay on our cruise and go in December? Do we want to cancel it now? And he told us just wait. And that kind of goes along the lines with the stories. He said, let's wait till June. Let's see where things are with all the inoculations. Let's see what the restrictions are going to be and make a decision from there. So my first thoughts are, if you want to go on a cruise, you should be able to go on a cruise. I don't think you need to be inoculated to still have a good time, but I think your restrictions, wearing a mask, things of that nature, need to be a little more strict than those that are supposed to be free of the virus that are inoculated. So that's just my opinion based on past experience and my thoughts and views on what's going on with COVID. But I thought it was interesting that cruise line, 40,000 people in Miami are employed through the cruise, through that port of Miami, along with dozens of cruise lines go through there, and there's a ton also in New Orleans. So I can only imagine the amount of people that have been out of work there.
Go ahead and take your fish.
Well, this obviously is impacting our personal life here. So myself, we didn't know what the restrictions may or may not be, but too many unknowns. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, I don't feel comfortable personally getting on a ship that people are not. It's not mandatory to be vaccinated. That's me, because I don't, like you said earlier, I don't want to have any restriction. That defeats the purpose. I may as well save the money and do something at a smaller venue or do something else with loved ones and friends, whatever, that does not, it's because, the ships, I mean, I was very, very, very impressed as far as how clean everything was. They clean like crazy in a normal environment. I mean, they were dusting the lights every night, for crying out loud. So I felt very comfortable with the big crowd previously, with the food and all that stuff. But with this, even if you're vaccinated, we know there's still a lot of unknowns there too. We don't know yet, the variants. We talked about that last week. It just, and who knows what's going on the ports. I mean, for the most part, the ports are very controlled. As long, you don't have to venture off the port area. You could stay there, and it's pretty much just the passengers and everything from the ship for the most part. But I don't know, too many unknowns, not the right time for me. I would not be able to relax and enjoy myself. So for me, 2022, perhaps for a cruise for me. That's me.
Okay.
Keith, what do you think?
Wow. This is a little tricky. Number one, though the thought of the first person mandating a vaccine is a daunting thought because that's a slippery slope, a whole other subject. I believe what that's going to lead to. But that being said, I don't understand how you could have such a thing with so many people and so many people coming from every corner of the world and not have an issue. So I agree with Fish that I can understand why nobody would not even want to think about doing such a thing if everybody wasn't vaccinated. Not that I'm for the mandatory vaccine, but I totally understand his train of thought. Another thing, Fish, that I agree with, too many variables. And to make a decision at this time, I would just sit and watch what happens in other sects of life leading up to that. Because right now, there are a lot of things that are opening up. And there's smaller sample sizes. And I'm curious to what happens. We were talking today about the theaters are going to be opening up at the end of the month. So I'm curious to see what effects happen from that. You know what I'm saying? Or there is a surge of viruses, pop up or something like that. So I'd rather take a look at some other things that are going to happen prior to that before making a decision to get on a ship that has been everywhere, has people from everywhere. I don't care how clean it is. That's an awful lot.
A lot of unknowns.
A lot of unknowns.
So.
Yeah,
I think
I'm interested to see what happens. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did get that invitation, so but we'll see.
I think I want to wait till 2022 also before we start seeing that belly of his over there in the buff. You know what I mean?
That's probably a good idea too.
Well, they have
to get it down.
Yeah, they have a lot of lifeboats, Keith. That'd be good for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
I heard they got a pool and a pond.
Yeah, a pond would be good for you. Natural.
I think.
Hey guys, you keep making fun of me. Saturday, I'm going to get me a high colonic.
All right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's a good time.
Be a bonus TikTok video coming at you.
Yeah, I want to see that the first time that one.
I'll record as much as I can.
All right, fellas, that's all I got.
Okay.
What is this? Is this a typhoon over in Tokyo? Like that? What's going on? All these people getting like washed away and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! All right, in the world of pop culture, Fish, what